Hurricane Helene has been one of the most devastating hurricanes in U.S. history. I live in an area where the hurricane hit. We had heavy rain and high winds, but thank God it wasn't that bad here. I've actually seen worse thunderstorms in our area. However, just about 2 hours away from me, entire communities in western North Carolina were completely devastated by the hurricane. In a few days after the hurricane, I caught up with a friend of mine who shared his terrifying experience of dealing with the hurricane in western North Carolina. And he also describes what it was like as he was attempting to flee the area. My friend is Austin. He's a talented videographer that I have worked with numerous times in the past. And he's also the full-time editor for my friend Justin Rhodes, who has one of the biggest homesteading YouTube channels out there. And here is my chat with Austin. So Austin, you were right in the middle of the Hurricane Helene. Mm-hmm. And when did it start hitting for you guys? Because for us, I want to say it was around 4 a.m. that Friday morning that I started hearing things. I started hearing the wind and then the rain picking up. Was it around the same for you guys, or was it earlier than that?
Pretty much. Thursday it was raining pretty good. You could even start seeing rain kind of pick up, and not flood, but you know, there's puddles picking up around. But Friday morning, I actually woke up. You know, I'm a pretty heavy sleeper, but Friday about 5 a.m. I woke up to go to the gym, and I heard heavy rain. It was heavy rain. It sounded like somebody was standing outside with a hose just spraying our windows. And you know, I figured it's some heavy rain, you know. So but went outside, got in the truck. I was getting ready to go to the gym, and
it just shows how dedicated he is. It's a hurricane happening. He's going to the gym.
Yeah, you know, I had to get a pump in, you know. But started making my way, and it was heavy rain for sure. I probably should have turned around. Actually, even she told me, she's like,
he said, I'm going to the gym. I told him not to, but he said, I'm going.
Just like a guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's fine. It's just some rain.
So I stayed awake, of course, and then about 20 minutes later, he said,
I got about 2 miles, and a tree was down on the road. And I'm like, well, okay, I guess I'll go back home. Turned around, and another tree had fallen. And I'm like, goodness, like,
so you're stuck in between two trees.
Stuck
baby.
in between two trees, yeah. And I actually turned back. There was a church in between. I parked in the church parking lot, and I'm like, I sat there for a second, and you know what? The truck's kind of wobbling a little bit. It was windy, and I was like, okay, I don't want to sit here. I don't have nothing to do. I didn't have phone service. I couldn't just scroll.
Oh man.
So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go park at that tree that fell closest to the house, and I'll just get out and run. So parked at the tree and ran to the house. It was probably about a half mile, so it wasn't too bad. And got back in the house, and then that's when I saw the Rhodes family running around the farm and trying to make sure everything was okay.
we went outside, and it was like, there was already like, kind of like waves going down the road.
You know, at this point, you know, the morning's going along and things are just getting worse. Power's out at our house, so we had ran over to the Rhodes house and hung out there, and because they had a generator going, so they had power. But we had no way of contacting our family or anything. We were just kind of hunkered down. And
so you're in the midst of it that Friday morning. You're trying to go to the gym. What would you say was the scariest part of all that happening?
So, you know, I wasn't really scared up until a certain point. So, like, even when the tree fell down, still at that point, I didn't realize, like, we're in a hurricane. Yeah. Like, it really just felt like, for some reason, that wasn't, like, in my brain. I don't know.
Like, oh, it's just raining.
Yeah,
I'm going to the gym.
But it was when we go run up to the lake up on the property just to go see what it's looking like, if the dam's holding up. And I mean, it's already overflowing like crazy. I mean, right then and there, it's rushing waters, and I was scared in that moment because I'm like, if the dam breaks, we're up here. I'm gone,
Man.
But so, you know, eventually we kind of got all the animals back to, because the animals did get out. We kind of got them into a certain spot and just made sure everything was somewhat tidy.
So y'all were going around getting what? The pigs, the chickens?
Yeah.
Just whatever animals?
Just whatever animals that, like, just making sure that they would at least be somewhat stable in that moment, as much as they could be. Eventually got back in the house, and we're just sitting in the house just watching everything. And it's crazy because I think in that moment was when I started to get a little worried, because we're seeing trees falling, like just one by one, tree falls.
Oh wow.
And like massive trees, and like live trees. Like these aren't just old rotten trees.
And was that from the wind or just from the water and the ground being unstable? A combination of everything?
A combination of all of it, and a lot of, you know, because the water was rushing through. There's this nice tree line that blocks off their property from the other person's property, and that tree line just, the water's rushing through that, and one by one just knocking trees down.
That's gotta be freaky.
And also too, we're talking about, you know, is the dam gonna break? You know, if it does, we need to get out of this house, because this house was in the lower part of the valley. There's two other houses that are a little up higher on the hill. Probably would have been better off if we'd have run up over there if the dam did break. So we're just kind of huddled up in the living room, just waiting on, you know, a sign of the dam breaking, because we're gonna have to run for it.
Wow. So you're sitting there, no power, in the middle of a hurricane, just on pins and needles, waiting to see if that dam was gonna break.
Yeah,
Man, that's stressful.
Yeah. And at one point, the water was coming up towards the house. It never touched the house, but it was coming up towards it. And we rushed down there to grab some hay bales, just trying to divert some water. But luckily, right about noontime, things kind of started. The rain started to settle, and it was weird. You could kind of, actually, the chickens. You know, the chickens, they have a weird sense of like the weather.
They do. They do.
And you can see they started to come out a little bit, and it's like, oh, and honestly, that's where your heart starts to lighten up a little bit. You're like, oh, the chickens are happy. I should be happy. So.
The animals do have a sense of knowing what's going to happen, even before something's coming. They start acting a little different.
Yeah. And so then things started to lighten up, and rain started to slow down. But honestly, it was actually, you know what? After that, things is almost where my worries started to pick up. Once everything calmed down, we went down the road with an excavator and the track or the skid steer, and just pushing trees out of the way. Just trying to clear up. Maybe we could help, you know, get power here sooner. You know, help people get out of the driveway and stuff like that. Maybe cleared 2 miles of road, and just seeing like the devastation around us, like, you know, because when you see just your own property, it's one thing, but to go and see destruction throughout the whole community, that's where you're like, oh, this was actually bad. So in addition to the trees being down, what type of devastation were you seeing? So the high tunnel completely washed away. And that's what, 100-foot high tunnel by something like that? Yeah, 50? 100 by maybe 50, yeah. They have a bridge that crosses over to Grandma's property. That got washed away. They had a shipping container that they had just storing their goods and whatnot, and that was just floating down. Wow, those things are super heavy. Yeah. Oh man, we have one, man. Yeah. And so that thing was floating away. Eventually got caught up on a tree and stuck around. So that was, wow. They kept that. We saw the bees. Actually, they just got some beehives this year, and we saw the beehives just floating down. Oh man, that got washed away. So that's you're seeing destruction and death of animals happening too. Yeah, they're turkeys. Just taken off by the wind. And afterwards went around and picked them up. You know, these just bones sticking out of these turkeys. Man, it's few of them we couldn't even find. So
makes it even worse because they're just right around the corner from being processed too.
Right. Yeah, they were.
So
Yeah, they didn't have
that,
much longer.
Man.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's luckily all the other animals were good. Pretty sure all the chickens are there. Cows, they were up on the upper pasture, so they were fine. They got out, but we got them back in. We almost had to let the pigs out because they were getting close to water, but they ended up being okay.
So were you seeing any other structures with neighbors being destroyed, or?
Yeah, so as we started going down the road, their closest neighbor, they've got a nice, it's like an elevated deck over their pond it was still standing, but dirt washed away and everything.
Wow.
Their bridge is gone, their driveway's gone.
Man.
Keep going down the road, the next neighbor, their driveway into kind of like maybe a little tiny neighborhood of families, and there's just a river just going over that, washing away the driveway. And then we keep going down and you start seeing the roads washed away, culverts and out of the roads, and the roads sinking in.
So as far as everyone's lives that were in the neighborhood, and was everyone okay in the area that you were dealing with?
I hadn't heard of any deaths or anything in that specific area.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure if the lady in the house is okay. But I know that they're still counting.
Yeah.
So
yeah. This is one of the things that I feel like, just from what I'm hearing from people like you, I know of others who live in the areas, and I just don't feel like the news is really covering it. I think it's downplaying it slightly and not really touching on the real struggle that has happened and continues to happen with it. Because I've even heard stories, and maybe you know of some, of people being washed away in their house.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard any things like that happening?
Yeah, there's a lot of that I've heard, and my aunt told me just yesterday, they had a friend of theirs, their family was, I guess, spending a weekend or something in their mountain home, and about 16 of them, and landslide happened and took the whole family with them.
Wow.
In that house.
Man.
Which losing 16 of your family members,
Well, that's just
all at once, that's crazy. So
don't have the words for that, the tragic on that one. Wow.
Yeah. So.
And now you're several hours away, and we were hearing that people couldn't get out and people couldn't get in.
Yeah.
What made you decide to get out?
Yeah.
I would have gotten out too.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah.
Let's talk on that first. What made you to make the decision that we need to get out of here?
So, I think anybody's first initial thought is, okay, I need to get out of here. This is not a safe place. Yeah. But I also, because this wasn't our permanent home, this isn't our permanent property, so I wasn't tied down to that specific area. Compared to the Rhodes family, this is their home. There's not really somewhere they can go.
Yeah.
And all their families there. For me, my family's back here in Charlotte, and my thought was a few things. I like to say I wanted to save the Rhodes channel.
Yeah.
Because I'm in charge of posting their content. We didn't have any Wi-Fi or service or anything like that, so I figured I can go back to Charlotte, get service, and be able to keep his uploads going.
Yeah.
We're a week out, so I've got a week's worth of footage I can upload.
And you're also, it wasn't just you there, it was you and your wife and your small baby.
Yeah. So obviously I want to keep my family safe, and so being there didn't necessarily feel like a safe situation. And so I wanted to get them out. I also wanted to, I didn't want to use up resources that I didn't have to use.
Yeah.
Because everybody there right now is using as little as they can, or just, trying to spare, or just trying to grab whatever they can.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be somebody that would take that if I didn't need it. So I figured, I think the best route for us is to try to make it back to Charlotte.
Yeah.
And, which I had no idea if that was even going to happen.
Yeah, because I've heard that there were all kind of highways and roads and everything closed down all over the place.
Yeah, and all we were hearing was word of mouth, because we had no service. So there wasn't any social media where we could see, 40's down, and this is down. Like, we just were hearing word of mouth, like, hey, we heard some roads are out, like stuff like that. So it was all just a what if. And so I tried actually leaving Saturday, and on my way out, I was just making a quick route real quick to try to see if I could get service. And kind of the main road that I usually leave town in, the culvert had washed away up under the road. There was a bunch of firemen there, and we've been driving back and forth over it, but then a bunch of firemen came and was like, hey, look, we're getting ready to cut this road, just to stop people from, you know, going over it, because this is a safety hazard at this point. You can try to cross over it if you want, but we're not liable. And so I'm like, okay. When I asked him, I'm like, well, I'm just trying to get to Charlotte. Is there any way out? And he said just straight up, no, there's no way you're getting out of here. We're living in a third world country for the next month.
Wow.
And you know, you hear that from a Mr. Fireman. That was like, okay.
Probably makes you a little sick to your stomach.
Yeah. You know, because that's where things start really kicking. Because you know, there's the initial like storm and everything that happens there.
Yeah.
But then there's the aftermath, which is long lasting.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? I mean, it's still lasting now. Who knows how much longer it's going to last?
Yeah.
And so that was when, you know, I came back and I said, okay, we're not leaving today. And Rebecca was like, well, let's. And I'm new to this town, so I didn't know my way out. I didn't know any back roads, anything like that. So she had offered, said, hey, why don't we tomorrow, I'll take you through some different back roads that I know of, and we could just try to get you to the interstate. And so hopefully by the time we get to the interstate, I should know, you know, at least how to get out. So we ended up, I guess it was Sunday, she took us through some back roads. I had to throw the truck in four-wheel drive because a lot of road was just crumbled up and gone.
Okay, we made it through.
And so driving through trees and power lines and
Wow.
all sorts of stuff.
Wow.
Makes me want to lift my truck even more.
Lift your truck even more?
Yeah.
It would be nice for today, huh?
Eventually want to lift my truck, put some bigger tires on it. Just waiting on the moment to do that.
Wow. But then you finally got out.
Yeah, finally, once we got to 26, once we kind of got out of town, got on Interstate 26, from there it was pretty much smooth sailing. As we were coming towards the end of town and onto 26 was when, you know, we get to like the Walmarts and the Ingles and all that stuff, and you know, there's lines of people at the grocery stores because they're not open, but they're handing out sandwiches and water and stuff like that. And you know, the gas stations even had lines at them, but the gas stations weren't open or running or anything.
Wow.
I guess people were just waiting on something.
And that's one of the things I definitely have not seen on the news or even media, but I've heard people talking about it who live in these areas, and they're talking about people waiting in line for like an hour or hours just to get food.
Yeah, I heard somebody was waiting in line for 4 hours just to get gas.
Man.
And that's the thing is, like most people were not prepared for this event. You know, we knew of it coming. We knew rain was coming.
Yeah.
Heavy storm, but nobody was expecting the mountains to flood.
No, no. I grew up in these areas and towards that way as well, and all the hurricanes that we have seen in the past, it's almost like the mountains, the way that the hurricanes and storms have traveled, the mountains usually kind of break them up and make them calm down. But the way this particular one went, it went straight almost like through the valley. Yeah. Almost like worst case scenario.
Yeah, right. And so that's what makes this so much worse, is that nobody's prepared. Nobody, I mean, nobody even has just a couple days of groceries. We didn't have, you know, thankfully the roads had some food to spare.
Yeah.
Because we just, again, thought some rain was coming. And so people don't have food, don't have gas to even go get food. Or their driveways are gone and they can't get out, you know, or they're stranded by surrounding waters and stuff like that. And so that's what almost makes this aftermath worse, is that they don't even have food to just survive for a couple of days, or water or anything like that.
Wow. Now, did you notice at all, I know you've been gone a number of days now, did you notice any aid coming in at that point, even on Saturday, or still not even yet?
You know, it was surprising, because I figured Saturday on my way out, or no, Sunday on my way out, I figured I'd at least see, you know, lines of, you know, power workers or stuff, you know, some kind of aid. And actually on the way out, I did see I forget, it was some kind of like emergency aid truck or something like that, but it was going the same way I was.
Oh wow, that's not good.
Yeah, I'm like, dang, this guy's going the wrong way. Emergency response team. Let's head to Charlotte. The emergency is the other way.
That is not a good sign.
I think you're going the wrong way.
Oh man.
So, but no, I didn't see a single anything on the way there.
That's crazy. I don't know why that is, but
it was weird.
Wow.
You know, we heard it might be different now, but at the time Duke was saying they're just assessing for the first week. They're not even touching power lines until, because they just gotta assess the damage.
Yeah, and I'm sure they probably have insurance and safety protocols that they have to go through with some of these things too. But wow. Now, I've gotten a lot of people asking about, and I've even been in the boat about, how can we help people who have gone through that in these areas? What would you suggest?
It's hard to say, because, like, I mean, the biggest thing I think is just donate. Donate to some sort of, you know, emergency aid or charity of some sorts.
I've heard of Samaritan's Purse. Do you recommend some
Samaritan's
of those?
Purse. There's a lot of different stuff like that you can donate to, that are sending out teams. I know our church is sending out teams of people to help, you know, serve food or bring out water, gas, stuff like that. I'm sure there's a ton of churches out there, if you're a part of your local church, that's doing that. If you can join a group that goes out there, if that's something you feel called to do, definitely do that. But I think the most helpful thing you can do is just donate, whether it's money or it's food, or I mean, I've heard a lot of the Walmarts and stuff around here are running out of water and food, you know, canned goods, stuff like that. So but whatever you can do to donate, so I would say, is the best way.
Appreciate that. Now, have you had time to kind of reflect on, I don't know, lessons that maybe you all have learned through going through this?
Yeah, just today I was actually thinking about, like, you know, I if we weren't with the Rhodes family, we would be, I don't know, a nice way to put it, but we'd be screwed.
Yeah, you guys would be in need.
Yeah, we would be in need. And so, because we had grabbed some snacks the night before because we were going to watch a movie.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much, we had maybe a couple things in the freezer, but we were not prepared food-wise. We were not prepared at all. And so, I think just in some way, just having better preparations for food, for water, in cases of, you know, not having power, some of the things that, you know, we can do to just feed ourselves and hydrate, and some of those things.
Even though I'm not directly in what you all have gone through, but it's kind of inspired me to continue to do what we're doing, growing food, but also to have a backup plan. Like, if everything washes away, you need to know, well, I need to have a plan B of where I can go to make sure that we're taken care of.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking through that, because, you know, they're like, we just moved on to that property. They've got, you know, beautiful garden, beautiful high tunnel, all that. But all that just quickly got washed away. Yeah. And so you can prepare in making your garden. Yeah. But if that's now washed away, well, now what? Yeah. You know? So you got to think ahead of that. I don't know what that is exactly, but
yeah. So. I'd say some of it would probably be making sure you have family, community, people that you could go to if you do need to flee your area. Yeah. Yes. And we need one another. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That is, you know, it was neat seeing, you know, the aftermath. We did, you know, as we were going through pushing trees and stuff, we checked in with neighbors. Hey guys, you guys good? If you guys need it, we've got power back at the house. Got a generator going. there's some freezer space if you need something. So it was neat to kind of see, you know, the community come together, because these are times when you do need community. And thankfully, you know, I did have family that I was able to flee to, and so I'm completely thankful for that, because if we were alone, that would be our first route, is let's get to Charlotte. Even if I gotta make it as far as I can in my truck, drop the truck off, and then start walking out, you know? Whatever we can do to get out. So.
But on the, I guess, the ugly side of community, or the ugly side of people, there's the threat of people acting crazy.
Yeah.
Do you have any experience with that?
That was actually probably the highest point of my worries, was just safety, because, you know, these are desperate times. People can start to act a little weird around these times. And I mean, even that first night, Friday night, they got the airport up and running, and there was a gas station connected to that airport, so that was up and running. Well, people immediately getting in line to get gas. Well, that night already just fist fights going on.
Wow.
And I mean, over gas.
Wow.
And so this isn't even over like food or anything, you know?
Man.
And so, you know, this was where I'm concerned about, just is people going to come onto this property and try to steal things, you know, whatever. There was already looting going on in some of the grocery stores and stuff like that, or the stores. And so, and at this point, this is where I'm not just concerned about myself, I'm concerned about my family and you know, the safety of my family and friends.
Yeah.
And so I have to think about, okay, I need to defend myself.
Yeah.
And I need to be just on lookout, stuff like that. And
because your threat or type of danger has changed. It's now shifted from conditions, natural disaster conditions, to potential human
threats. It's a whole shift in threat. And so, especially on our way home, as we're making our way out, I'm not sure, even if, you know, what if we do get stopped by, or we're just not able to make it, we get stuck somewhere.
Yeah.
Just what kind of threats am I going to run into? Am I going to run into a desperate person who has no food and is going to do whatever they can to get food?
Yeah.
You know. So, I mean, I was making sure that I was able to defend myself as I made my way out, and so we packed up some food, packed up some water, and as we made our way out. But luckily we didn't run into any of that. Good. So
thankful that you guys got out of there.
Yeah.
I'm texting this man like crazy. He's probably like, why is he blasting my text? Like, man, I want to make sure he's all right.
Yeah. You double texted me. Like, hey man, calm down. No, I appreciate it for sure. It makes you feel cared about. You know, it's definitely appreciated.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And Austin started his very own YouTube channel here. Last month or two?
Something like that? I guess it's been about a month, maybe a little over it. So,
okay. Yeah. And you're going to be sharing on your channel more of your experience of what you guys have gone through.
Yeah.
Make sure you check out his channel, follow it, click on the notification bell so you know when he's releasing a new video, and you can check out that video.